Already onto map 1 of this step, which is going to be tree jump by Nadeo with the fastest snap with credited to Papu last time with the 116.997. This is the last time that we're going to be seeing tree jump in the regular season. So this is going to be the last time for an improvement on said lap time. Are we going to see another 116 in this step? We don't know. Anyways, keep it straight right here. Then before the second CP, chug the car in to the corner to perform the ice slide closely. First and second tree right there. Then onto the reactor boost. Make sure to perform the ice slide nicely through there. CPs 3 and 4 right consecutive one another. Hello Jetix, hello everyone, hello Kingman. Hope everyone is doing good. And CP5, make sure to use the uphill to then quickly rotate the car towards the right and then do a small drift, then uphill. Keep the car on the ground, CP6, then chuck the car in before the first ball out as we're following the perspective of Afi right now. Make sure to get a smooth transition of the ice slide to not to get too high on the bobsleigh part at the moment. Then onto CP7 and the bumper road section. Reactor boost keeps you down and creates downforce to keep you glued to the ground. Then you need around 300 kilometers an hour, maybe even less than that, to clear that chicane jump at the bump road. Small dirt loop here for Afi, and then the Yep Tree jump section. 350 kilometers an hour before the first jump. Go full flat out, or maybe even slight release for Afi to land into the checkpoint. 254 and even 260 for the second jump. Nicely done by Afi, and then the final turn right here. Control the ice slide nicely, then straighten the car as you exit it to try and jump between the trees and across the start-finish line to start another lap on tree jump. Anyways, we're all ready for this. Map number 1 about to get underway, and we're going to be having the start from the helicam perspective. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Step 2 is underway. So, for the helicam right here, we can see the field from a slightly different perspective than we had with the chase cam from one particular player. Whole shot for Carl Jr. after the first checkpoints. Currently, Kappa, Bren, and Afi 1, 2, 3 with the ice slide maybe a little bit too high for Afi, meaning that he will get towards the bottom of the field. Papu already taking the lead from Carl, and Aurel in second and third, Bren in fourth. Ooh, Riolu missing up the drift, and thus will be at the back of the pack with Afi and Yannick. Scrappy also down in P13. Tween currently in the thick of it, in 7th position at the moment, heading into CP number 6. Whoa, Matt with a bit too much hair time. That's going to penalize him really hugely here. Gwen currently in last place, but Riolu having a worse slide than anyone else. Papu and Pack first and second. Carl Jr. up in second with Pack in third. Masa in P4 as we're going to be heading back to the perspective of Bren at the moment, currently sitting in P5. And he sees Tween, Scrappy, and Co. swarming by at the reactor boost section. Tween looking pretty good at the moment in the start with around, let's say, P5 or P6 under the P6 under the hood. Tree jump. Oh, Masa gets the Yep Tree, and thus he will be forced to respawn. He's out of it already. Thankfully, this is map 1. Tween going for the booster jump. And now onto the ice turn, and it seems as though Carl Jr. and Papu will be in first and second here. Pac going a bit too high on the ice slide right here, and so Carl Jr. first, Papu second, Scrappy in third place, Kappa fourth, Afi fifth, Pac sixth, Aurel, Tween in 7th and 8th, Bren 9th, Evon 10th. Carl Jr. with the fastest lap so far with 121.670, so 121 for the opening lap. Not too shabby from everyone, the first lap perspective, and yeah, no big mistake. Well, aside from that, Masa, it seems as though he didn't lose too much, so you can see around 4 seconds between first and last at the moment. You can see the string with the train from third to all the way down to around the 12th position with Gwen. Oh, Pac made a mistake and touched the wall, and so he's down in P11. He's gonna have to fight off against Gwen for the benefit of 11th position. Oh, Scrappy, Tween, and Brent. That's a huge fight in the middle of the pack. Meanwhile, Carl Jr. and Papu are breaking away. Papu taking the lead away from Carl at the moment in towards CP7. Kappa a little bit in the middle, having a bit of a lonely race. 8 tenths down on the leader, but 9 tenths clear of Afi and Bren. Aurel, Scrappy, Tween right now. Spam and Tween at the moment. Tween currently sitting in P8 as we head into the tree jump section. First jump cleared for Tween nicely here. Second jump a bit lower, but thankfully he clears it. Afi having a bit of a rocky landing, so that will allow Spam and Kappa to come through, as Kappa had a bit of a dodgy landing as well, so he is down in second position. 117.992, 117.555 for Massa, who takes the fastest lap of the race on lap number 3. Bren taking up the lead. It seems as though Carl Jr. has made a mistake that I completely missed off camera. And yeah, P13 right now for the reigning champion, and Papu also made a mistake, and so he's down in P15, already 14 seconds down, 10 seconds down on the leader, 14 seconds down on the leader with Matt in P16, and now we're seeing a totally different order with two Frenchmen, with a Belgian in the French sandwich, should I say. Brent leading in front of Scrappy, and Aurel currently in third place with Afi, again the highest place of the rookies at the moment in P4, although he gets challenged by Spam right here for the benefit of P4, gets overtaken and demoted down to P5 as we enter into the bobsleigh, though the bobsleigh might be a little bit more troublesome for some people, and he's able to pressure Aurel potentially for third position. Meanwhile, Tween in P6, actually in P10 right now, after the update with the pretty paltry ice rink I would expect from Aurel, from Tween rather. He is currently looking at the top 10 finish and potentially the top 8 in the books right now. Aurel investing in Sonks, yeah, you're absolutely right. He's looking to fight back. Oh, that's going to be a huge battle between Afi and Aurel. That's really right to the line. Afi with less speed into the jump. Scrappy with the dodgy landing, and he's down in P6 as a result of that. Aurel up to P2. Afi up into a podium paying position already, spamming P4. Evon also looking to be to show some decent speed right here. Tween, however, has a bit of an issue. Oh, Kappa with a huge stopping here, and so he will be down in P13 rather. P12 right now for Tween, who's trying to hunt his arch nemesis, Carl Jr. Remember, these guys went at it already back in the early 2010s. It was at the time for world champion status, with Tween never being able to topple the Canadian Meister that is Carl Jr. But maybe he has a chance to actually get something back. I'm imagining Papu did hit a tree at the towards the end of the lap, but yeah, Papu down in P13. Meanwhile, Brent and Aurel, a French 1-2 at the moment, with Brent going a bit high on the bobsleigh part as we enter lap 4, as we edge towards the end of lap 4, sorry. Then we see Afi still in P3, Spam P4, currently battling it out with Evon, the Polish driver from Team Secret, looking pretty good so far in P5. Papu making moving up to P12. Yannick's making a mistake down to P13. Tween also taking advantage of a mistake from Gwen to move back up into the top 10. Carl Jr. promoted up to P9 at the moment. Meanwhile, Breno well enough in negotiating the tree jumps. Spam as well. Evon, Pack, Scrappy. Evon and Pack battling it out for P5 at the moment. Spam having a bit of a dodgy ice slide right here. Gwen and Tween, again a huge battle between those two, with Papu also coming back into the mix after that ice rink. P12 right now. Papu, the fastest man on track at the moment, 117.061, although he did say a 0.85 here. Can we see another fastest lap from the Frenchman and potentially a new lap record? But as I say that, Caster's curse occurs and he's forced to respawn after hitting the second tree, and so he will be down a fair bit since Yannick's overtook him. He is down in P13 with Kappa just behind him. And yeah, you're right, Riolu having down the last place. The Mr. Streamer Burim is down in last place, 5 seconds behind Mats. Really struggle from the German driver, and also struggle for Spam here on this ice rink section as he gets overtaken by everybody after a poor ice slide from the Dutchman. He goes from 4th down to 8th just like that, with Carl and Tween in 9th and 10th. Tween having overtaken Gwen for P10, while Gwen, the Frenchman, the Max Verstappen of TrackMania, remaining in close contention for that 9th position and the points that do come with it. Meanwhile, at the front, Brennan Aurel, 1 and 2, as they're going to enter the final lap of the race. Evon up to P3 as a result of all the shenanigans that happened with Spam. Oh, the ice slide though is going to cost him so dearly. Massa and Pack scooting through into 3rd and 4th respectively. Evon down in 5th, Spam 6th, Carl 7th, Scrappy 8th, Gwen up in 9th place, Tween up into P10. Brent has made a mistake just before the ice slide, and so Aurel inherits the lead with a gap of 2 seconds to Pack. So yeah, we're seeing already that the gaps have widened quite a bit as he finds himself in a leading position. 1.6 seconds now to Pack. He's going to try to catch him back up, but Massa also has a word to say about that. So yeah, maybe this could be the perfect start that Aurel needs in this second step after all of the shenanigans that happened for him on the final map of step 1. Let's see the ice slide from the Frenchman, looking pretty good so far. Nice exit onto the ice rink, although Pack seems to have had it a little bit better, but as I say that, Massa with a bit better slide, not quite actually. Let's see the gaps. 1.1 second. Pack getting 3/10 into the ice rink section. Meanwhile, Tween is currently sitting in P10, not looking too shabby so far, trying to catch up to Gwen in 9th position. Meanwhile, let's follow the chaser Pack at the moment trying to negotiate the tree jump here. Aurel, first tree jump done, same for Pack, but Pack potentially overtaken by Massa in the second tree jump, second jump. Oh, the low landing for Pack. Meanwhile, Aurel will be able to get the map win in his hands unless he falters at the last jump, and naturally he will not. He will cross the line. Pack will not get the finish. He gets overtaken by Tween. Massa second, Carl third, Evan fourth, Spam fifth, Brent sixth, Scrappy seventh, Pack, Afi up in 8th, Gwen in 9th, and Tween into the top 10, Pack 11th, Papu 12, Yamex 13th, Kappa finishing in P14, and Riolu will be finishing in P15 in a few moments here with the final tree jump and then the final corner coming in for the German. Oh, he goes a bit too tight and does loses the ice slide right in the middle of the corner. Not exactly ideal for Riolu. He finishes in P15. Meanwhile, Matt has decided to give up. He has no time to finish, and so no points scored for the Brazilian. Aurel, 20 points then for him. Massa in second place with 14, 12 points for Carl Jr., 10 points for Evan, and 9 for Spam. Tween gets the points for the P10. For the P10 on the map, so he was actually supposed to be in 10th, but Papu with the 2 fastest points for the fastest lap moves up to 9th, and Demuts went to 10th, and Tween to 11th, 5 points each for both of the players. As we're heading onto map number 2, which is Sidewave by Link. Fastest lap again, Papu's with the 121.993. Expert of 0.99x. I guess we could say that about Papu as we're heading already into the warm-up as we're checking out the map by Link. For the first of 2 entries in this map, in the current map pack for Link at the moment, as we're seeing that everybody's negotiating the first few checkpoints nicely here as we head onto this platform part. Slight drift here, or maybe no drift if you manage to get enough speed through there. Then onto the dirt. Straighten out your car to keep your car on the ground. Then freewheel, catch the reactor boost to get onto this inverted road section and keep your car on the ground. Make sure to not steer too much, otherwise you're going to topple and roll over. Then the ice slide right here, which is so easy to mess up and so easy to lose right at the apex of the jump with high speed and send you over the track, forcing you to respawn. Then the second ice rink section where you mustn't touch too much of the snow, otherwise you'll get a pretty hefty penalty. This is what we saw also, Riolu getting the double bunk and the pinball effect in the first step. Then go around the outside of both poles onto the checkpoint, then initiate your drift early here, bring it around the apex through there, through the trees, between the lamppost, and then onto the identity. First U-turn on the road, then second U-turn on the ice, chuck the car in really early and perform the ice slide right there, then chuck the car in towards the other side and perform a grass slide on the dirt, then ice first half, dirt second half, make sure to combine both techniques, then road, hairpin turn, then exit on the ice, and finally the last ice downhill where you have to keep your car straight and not deviate too much to not lose too much speed on the re-entry into the next lap. So, we're already getting started with map 2. Here we go, boys. As we're going to be following our perspective from our man, currently in P5. Actually, no, better than that. Let's get back to the helicam. Whole shot for Scrappy after the first checkpoint. The Belgian taking the lead from Pack, Gwen, and Massa, although the pack still remains really tightly knit after 3 checkpoints. It really is easy to make a mistake so fast in this particular track. Pack currently leading in front of the group. Massa, Papu, Gwen, and Afi at the moment, with Tween currently at the rear of the field. Half a second between first and last at the moment as we're heading into the reactor boost section. We're going to head back towards the follow cam with Aurel this time around. Looking pretty good at the moment. P14 for Tween as we head into the ice slide section. Slight loss of control, but he manages to catch it back. So yeah, he's going to be looking pretty spiffy as Matt loses a ton of speed in the ice part. So does Aurel and Spam. So yeah, Tween getting back into contention for the top 10 positions. He's up into P11 as we're heading into the final part of the track with the identity coming up in a short few moments. Riolu has made a huge mistake and thus he's down in last place as we're heading into the identity right here with the lead group. Pack in front of Bren and Gwen at the moment with Massa also in the mix. And meanwhile, Kappa failed the drift and thus touched the ball board. He's down in P15 at the moment. Janex also failing the ice slide with Mats and Kappa. Riolu still in last place right now. Aurel and Tween battling it out with Carl Jr. as well, but Tween having a bit of a wide exit at the dirt part. Meanwhile, up front it is going to be Scrappy versus Pack right now. Scrappy taking the lead after lap 1, 126.314. Pack second, Brent third, Papu fourth, Massa fifth, Afi sixth, Evan and Gwen completing the top 8 at the moment, with Tween currently sitting in P12 behind Spam, around 0.4 of a second down on the Dutchman. as we're heading into the reactor boost section for the second time in this map, and potentially the second of 6 final times in this particular Grand League. Ooh, maybe a slight lift to the left-hand side there for Tween. I didn't even catch it. Oh, that ice slide is going to be costly. It's super costly indeed as Yannick scoots by him with a nice ice slide. He's in P13, he's in P12 now, right now. Yannick, although Tween is catching back up to him, and Yannick touches a bit too much of the snow on the inside, and Tween gets back that 12th position. Meanwhile, Afi, who was looking so good, is down in 11th position at the moment. Riolu down 18 seconds on the leader. It's not going well for Riolu at the moment. Meanwhile, Scrappy, Pack, and Papu 1, 2, 3 at the moment, with Massa in hot pursuit and currently battling it out with Carl Jr., Gwen, and Evon 6th, 7th, and 8th, even though Gwen has had a really supreme ice slide compared to the rest of his opponents, and thus he will be trying to catch back up to the top 8, but no, it's not looking good after that poor dirt slide. Meanwhile, Scrappy and Massa battling it out for first place, for supremacy. Meanwhile, Carl gets the 122.534. We're half a second away from the fastest lap we've seen on Sidewave performed by Papu. Carl Jr. back up to P3 ahead of Pack, currently battling it out with Dorel. Then Brennan Papu in 6th and 7th position. Evon and Afi battling it out for the 8th position, and Evon touches a bit on the inside, penalizing him so dearly with that acceleration penalty coming in for just a slight wall touch. Spam and Gwen overtake him, and Tween as well. So Tween up into P11, Evon down to P12. Tween potentially trying to get back into the top 10 another time and trying to take advantage of a mistake by one of the players. Let's actually see again that ice slide, but it's looking to be costly again as he loses the car, not in the middle of the slide. Not exactly what you want to do, which costs him so much in terms of top end speed. Meanwhile, towards the front, let's actually see how that goes for Pack at the moment, the 2016 World Champion. Currently in the battle to catch back up to Scrappy in P8, and Bren up in P7 ahead of him. Meanwhile, Massa, as Carl Jr. and Papu both made a mistake, Massa has inherited the lead. The Berlin International Gaming player looking pretty good. It seems as though Mr. 305 has taken over the reins of this race at the moment. Let's hope that he does not bonk against the wall, trying to pull off the one lap pace. It's the do or die player we've been talking about ever so slightly, and he already sets a brand new world record with a DNF from Rio Lug. Well, nicely spotted, Witty. So yeah, looking indeed to be a DNF for Riolu. No points. No, Yannick is still in there, although he seems to be dropping off quite a bit. Oh, it's a connection issue for Yannick. It's a connection issue for Yannick. One of the rookies is down. WR though for Massa. Yeah, indeed, a 121.909 for Massa, who takes the fastest lap of the race. Second place right now for Carl Jr. 1.2 seconds down to the leader. Then 2/10 behind the Canadian, we find Papu, who had a bit of a weird ice slide through there. So Carl is going to zoop by him again, or not quite. A bit of a weird exit from Carl makes it a level fight between Papu and Carl Jr. Pack in P4. Meanwhile, let's actually check in on our man Tween. He's in P12. No big mistakes so far, even though that ice slide before this ice rink section has cost him dearly over the course of 4 laps already. And yeah, Tween is going to try to get some points on the board at the end of this first phase. Next up, let's check in on Aurel, trying to catch back up to Gwen in P7, and currently trying to fend off the attacks of Bren from Kameto Corp in P9 at the moment. Gwen, although he had a good ice slide, not as good as Aurel, so he promotes the GamingPrivé.com up to P7. Meanwhile, Massa still in the lead, entering into the penultimate lap. Scrappy is next up for Aurel. P6 is on the card with potentially P5 if Spam makes Spam does make a mistake that promotes everyone up in the leaderboard. Pack in P4, Carl in P3, dropping out quite a bit to Papu. He's already almost a second down on the Frenchman. Massa in P1 is 1.7 seconds down, 0.7 seconds up on Papu at the moment, who's half a second up on Carl Jr. This is how your top 3 looks at the moment. Meanwhile, Afi seems to have made a mistake, and he's down in P12. Tween promoted up to 11th, and now next up is Ren for P10. Whoa, see, maybe a bit too much on the inside with a slight lift on the left-hand side of the wheels right there. Oh, nice and tight slide for Tween. Slow exit speed, but still, that should be enough to promote him up to P10. Great move by Tween. I believe Bren made a mistake himself as well. So yeah, it is definitely looking pretty grim for the Frenchman right here. Oh, and it seems as though we do have Yannick still in the game, but he's having a lot of issues with his connection, as you can see from the janky-ass interpolation going on. But yeah, let's hope that everything holds up for the for the Swiss player from Edelweiss Esports. Meanwhile, at the front, Massa about to enter into the final lap. Let's actually check in on the timesheets to see if there is any improvement to the lap time. Not quite. Still at 121.909 for the world record. Second place for Carl, then third position right now for Pack. Meanwhile, Tween up into P10, looking to score some decent points. Carl was the fastest man on lap 5 with a 122.472. He's trying to catch back up to Massa. He's trying to bridge the gap to the German. He's currently a second away from trying to challenge for the lead. As they enter the ice slide right here, let's actually check the perspective of Tween, who's trying to catch back up to Evon up into P9 right now. So we're going to see how this will go for our man. He loses the ice slide again, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And that's going to allow Brent to catch back up to him. He's going to have to be defensive to try and protect that 10th position. Meanwhile, Carl has made the gap to Massa, so we could potentially see an overtake towards the end of this race. Massa may have made a mistake. I don't really know what happened there, but yeah, this is a battle for the lead we'll see right now between Massa and Carl Jr. at the moment. Best lap for Yannick's is really janky. We'll still remember that it's a 121.909 for Massa, who gets the fastest lap officially. Meanwhile, Massa tries to fend off the attacks of Carl Jr. He's going to be able to cross the start-finish line, thankfully, in first place. Massa will get his first map win of the season. Nicely done from the Mr. 305. Carl Jr. in P2. Pack in third position, then fourth place for Papu, fifth for Scrappy, sixth for Evan, seventh for Spam Gwen, eighth Brent, ninth, Tween in P10, Afi 11th, Aurel 12th, Yannick's in 13th place, 14th place for Amat, and 15th place for Kappa, with Riolu being the only retirement to report. So, sorry for missing the first race, by the way, Ryoder. I know I should have saved it. I'm really sorry about it, but yeah, I didn't need save sideways, so there you go. Sorry about that, Ryoder. Let's hope that someone else did indeed save it on another stream, because if we do get a recap, it is going to be thanks to this in-game replays. Meanwhile, we're already done with stage 1, guys. The safe zone is pretty much over. Yeah, sorry, Ryoder. I completely forgot about it. Excuse my small brain. But yeah, we're on to stage 2, where 50% point loss occurs for anyone finishing in the bottom 8. Sorry again. Map 3 then. Switchbridge by Firestorm. Fastest lap was credited to Pack this time around. The 2016 World Champion having clocked in a 110.488 at the final lap of the race, even though that race saw him lose 51 points at the end of it and end up towards the bottom of the leaderboard in the Grand League step. So here we see the very first wall ride here in this first Grand League map pack. Then this transfer, then this jump onto the dirt section. And you can see this Riolu pulling exactly what what happened to Tween in step 1, which is messing up the landing at the platform jump and losing pretty much every hope of catching back up to the rest of the field in the meantime. So yeah, currently Massa leading the standing to 34 points, leading the Grand League step 2 at the moment. Second place for Carl Jr. with 26, Aurel third with 24, then 18 points for Evan in fourth place, then 16 points equal for Pack, Scrappy, Papu, Spam, and Scrappy in that order. Then Brent, 13 points for him in 9th place, Gwen, 11 points with him in 10th, Afi and Tween, 11th and 12th with 10 points equal, 8 points for Yannick in 13th place, 5 points for Kappa in 14th place, 3 points for Matt in 15th, and 2 points only for Riolu in 16th position. And as we're heading into the next map, here we go, we're underway. Oh, actually, we're having a technical pause, presumably for resolving some of the connection issues that some of the players are experiencing. We are mostly thinking of Yannick's, who had a bit of an issue with his connection, playing a little bit of havoc into map number 2. So yeah, we're currently on a pause situation. You can see that some people have started somewhat late. We're going to be waiting for the all systems go from the administrators to resume racing at the moment. Just the opportunity for us to tell you thank you for actually tuning in to the cast of the TrackMania Grand League's second step of the fall 2020 season, and yeah, also to thank our sponsors from the Pittsburgh Knights, which are HyperX, Blogs by Zenny, Sheets, and of course our newest one, which joined in the middle of last month, which is ExpressVPN. Now, did I tell you that we, the Pittsburgh Knights, have a deal for Pittsburgh Knights fans, or for any user and anyone watching the Pittsburgh Knights channel for that matter? Knights fans get 3 extra months free VPN service when signing up with a 12-month plan using the link pks.gg/expressvpn. You don't want all your data to go public and live, don't you? You don't want scalpers to actually steal your credit card data, don't you? Well, get yourself ExpressVPN now, and with a 12-month plan, get 3 free months of extra VPN service for free. For more information, visit pks.gg/expressvpn. Okay, enough radio voice gigs right now. We're just waiting again for the... we're waiting indeed for Yannick, who had a bit of a connection issue on map 2. Yes, indeed, the Swiss driver Jan Peroulas from Fribourg is having a little bit of... having his connection play havoc with him. Aw, sorry about that. I didn't mean to make you feel sad, Witty. It wasn't meant. I wasn't meant to be. You think my radio voice is good? Well, I'm trying my best. Sounds fake, but okay. Yeah, I'm getting some weird vibes right now, but yeah. Anyways, here we go. We're ready, and Yannick is back in, and we're underway for stage 2 of the step. Here we go. You can see at the bottom hand of your screen, bottom 8 will lose half of their points. As we're heading back to the helicam right now, as I completely forgot to do that. Massa taking the lead in front of Riolu and Carl Jr. Riolu taking the leads from Scrappy and Gwen, heading into the next CP. Currently Tween in the thick of it and right in the upper part of the top 8, so looking pretty good so far on the starters. We're heading into the wall ride with Riolu, Gwen, Afi, and Scrappy in the top 4, battling it out with Tween in the top 5 at the moment, trying to break away from the chasing pack of Massa, Brennan, Papu with Kappa behind him. Now onto the platform jump. Will anyone fail it right here? No, everybody clears it pretty much safely here. Afi taking the lead from Gwen and Riolu, 2nd and 3rd, Scrappy 4th, and Tween in 5th, Papu in 6th. We'll try to have an interview with Marek. Then we're seeing Gwen and Afi still battling it out with Tween moving up into top 4, so this could be interesting as we head into the identity for the first time. He's battling for the podium position right now. Through the first 2 poles we go, then another jump into the second set of poles. Tween with a pretty much supreme landing is moving up into P2. We're moving up into the lead as we're heading into the final jump. Will Tween be able to go into the lead? Yes, he will cross the start-finish line in the lead of the lap with 1:15.147. Nicely done by Tween, who takes the first place on lap 1. Pack trying to catch back up to him. Meanwhile, Scrappy has made a huge mistake. It's down in P16. This could mean -8 points for the Belgian. And meanwhile, the leader, Massa, down in P10, but still remaining with the right group at the moment. With only 2 tenths between himself and 8th place, currently held by Carl Jr. at the moment. Carl Jr. right on the bleeding edge of staying in the top 8. Meanwhile, Tween in 1st place after lap, entering into lap 2. Then Gwen in 2nd place, 2 to 3 tenths down on our man. Then 3rd position, Papu in 3rd place. Yeah, half a second down on the leader. Then we see Pac, Kappa, and Afi in the battle of the room for P4, and potentially could be promoted up to P3. They managed to catch back up to Papu right here as we head into the identity for another time right here. Tween showing that what he said last time, that he had some pace advantage, that he was confident in there. And it seems as though we had a mistake from one of the players. Yes, it is Afi, the rookie, down in P12. Meanwhile, Carl Jr. has made a mistake as well. The reigning champion is completely dead here. Massa also dead at the moment. 3 seconds down, 4 seconds down almost on the leader, trying to battle up with Afi. 1:10.961 for Papu right here in 2nd place. Gwen Gwen popping off right now. Oh no, Tween made a mistake. He's forced to restart. That's why we had a lead change. Brennan Carl moved past, and he's down in last place, 5 seconds down. The shenanigans have gone and on and on and on and on. So yeah, what looked like some such promising 2 laps for Tween have all unraveled in the space of 1 single section, and he is down in last place already. As we head back to the helicam, you can see the gaps have widened quite a bit towards the lead pack in front. It is Gwen, Papu, Spam, Pack, Kappa, Aurel, Evon, and Yannick currently completing the top 8. Yannick currently looking pretty good at the moment, with Matt also not looking too shabby, even though he's not in the zone that he needs to be to keep his points right now. The Brazilian is in P9, 8 tenths down on top 8 right now, 8 tenths down on Yannick. Oh, but as I say that, he glitches the outside of the border. Thankfully, he keeps it on the road and crosses the checkpoint, although Afi, Massa, Scrappy, and Carl Jr. move past him. Bren past him as well, Tween as well, and Riolu made another mistake again. It's going from bad to worse to even worse than worse for the German at the moment. P16, 9 seconds down on the leader, with Gwen currently leading the field in front of Pak and Papu. Carl Jr., the fastest man on lap 3 with the 1:10.522, who takes the fastest lap of the race. 0.448 is the fastest lap ever on Switch Bridge, and remember, we are going to see this map next week as well on there, so there's still one more step to try and snatch that fastest lap away from there. And you can see on the right hand side of your screen, go Tween in chat, go Tween! Support your boy, support our boy from the Pittsburgh Knights, he needs that so much. Meanwhile, Gwen 6/10 in front of Papu in second position. Pak 10th down in third, although Papu had a weird exit before the dirt part that allows Spam and Pak to catch back up to him. Spam moving up into second place, Pak up to third momentarily, heading into the identity. Meanwhile, Tween trying to catch back up as much as he can to the rest of the pack. Massa currently 2 seconds, 0.8 to 3 seconds down on the leader, on the 8th place, sorry, needed for safety, battling it out with Scrappy for the benefit of 9th position, so that there are still some points to be scored despite the current the current situation of the German at the moment, with Yannick currently sitting in 8th position. The connection issue seems to have been resolved for Yannick at the moment, and he's looking pretty solid in P8. The Swiss player from Edelweiss Esports looking pretty sharp and trying to catch back up to Aurel, who has less speed after a really dodgy, having made a mistake in the dodgy landing. Yannick is up to P7 now, so it is looking indeed pretty snazzy for Yannick at the moment. Evon is in P6, just up the road from Evon. Then we got Kappa in P5, Spam in P4, just ahead, in front of, just behind Pak and Papu, who managed to retake second place, half a second down on Gwen, who's currently leading convincingly this race and keeping everyone he needs to keep at bay right now. Now Tween currently in P12, trying to catch back up to Carl Jr. in 11th position. The Canadian 1.2 seconds up the road from our driver at the moment. Then currently Carl Jr. tries to make some inroads on on Scrappy and Massa. Scrappy having retaken P9 from Massa. Aurel not looking too safe, and Evon has made a mistake as well on the landing, and so he's down in P10 and potentially P11 if Carl Jr. scoots by. Yes, he will indeed move ahead of him, and Evon down in P11, Scrappy into safety, and now the battle for that top 8 position is looking real spicy, since there's only half a second between Scrappy and Massa, and Papu having made a mistake. He was in P2, now he's down in P7, and Pak has taken that second place away from Papu. Everybody getting promoted up the leaderboard. Spam 3rd, Kappa 4th, and Yannick's potentially a all-time high 5th in a Grand League race. We're gonna have to see how this will go for the Swiss man. Meanwhile, Evon and Carl Jr., look at them, they're right there. They're right within reach of Tween at the moment. There could be P10 on the cards, even though that could mean a -5 points on the leaderboard for Tween. He could still gain those back and thus keep his 10 points at the end of it all. Meanwhile, Aurel again having a dodgy landing. That promotes Tween up to P11. P10 is within reach for Tween. He needs to get this one. He absolutely needs to get it. Potentially P9 and even P8. I thought we had a mistake from one of the players. Massa is up into safety right now. Will Carl Jr. try to overtake him? We're gonna have to see. Meanwhile, Gwen takes the win with a 1:10.106. New lap record from Gwen. Pak in P2, Spam P3, Kappa P4, Yannick's finishing in 5th, Papu 6th, Scrappy 7th, Massa in P8, Carl 9, Evon 10, Aurel 11, overtaking Brennan 12th, and Tween losing 2 places in the final section. Afi in P14, Matt in P15, and Riolu down in 16th place. .03 indeed. Massa still in the lead with 40 points, 33 points for Gwen, who moves up to P2 in the standings. Tween currently in 13th place with 8 points, equal with Afi, as we're heading onto map number 4. Cam 7 for multi-lap block. Well, thing is, with Cam 7, it cycles between the it does cycle between the helicam and between the free cam, but once you go through helicam and hit free cam, it's going to be stuck in that perspective, so it's going to be a little bit iffy to set up the Cam 7, so we're going to do with that for now. On to map 4, the second map of stage 2 with a half points loss. It is indeed Half Pipe by Kisla. 122.311 was the lap record held by Mr. Dennis Lalza, Mr. 305 Massa right now, Cupra Meister should I say. You can call him by whatever nickname you want. The do-or-die player rocking a brand new Berlin International Gaming livery made by the one and only Shumi Skins. Has had the fastest lap last time around. He had a pretty good step before entering the map, but a small mistake on there cost him dearly as he lost all of his points, as this was map 5, remember, last time around. So yeah, he's gonna seek to take revenge on that as we're heading into the map. So we're heading into the dip right now, the first of two interesting bits. Make sure to get a good exit out of the dirt. 220 kilometers an hour needed to clear the first jump, then land early to get enough speed to get the second jump onto the remaining dirt part. The exit of the dirt part before the first dip conditions the rest of the dirt part, so it's going to be extremely important to get that exit pinpoint accurate. Then we get onto the second part of the identity right here. Load, keep your airtime low, keep your low line right here for the transfer jumps. Tony Hawk it pretty much. This is a Tony Hawk crap, remember. All this just need is we just need the secret tape, a stat point, and the gap transfer triggers to actually get a complete mission. There you go. Map 4 about to get underway, guys. Here we go, and we're heading back once again for the start with a helicam. First jump right here. Make sure to jump slightly. Jump slightly at an angle to get a good landing before the first checkpoint. Currently, Afi and Riolu first and second. Spamming third. Kappa in the right mix right now. Tween at the rear end of the pack, but still looking good. Evan being a little bit left behind before the platform jump right here. Yannick's having a bit less speed than the rest of the pack. Gets down to last place. Everybody still remaining fairly grouped within each other. We do have a DNF. What happened to Aurel? Did he have another connection issue as well? Aurel! No! As it all looks so great, what happened to Aurel? It seems to be DNF, but I don't think it is. We're gonna have to see. Yeah, I think it is indeed a DNF. Yeah, we can't spec him. That's an F right here for Aurel, as it looks so good. Do a kickflip! Alfie currently leading from Spam, who had a really bad landing through there, so he's down in P14 at the moment. Yannick's is currently at the rear of the pack. Tween currently looking to be at around 10th and 9th place. He's still looking to be pretty nicely placed for the top placings at the moment. Right now you can see the group ahead of him is the top 10, and then we're heading onto the identity transfer jump, onto another transfer jump. We just need to for someone to pull a kickflip. Think he can do a kickflip? Oh, Tween with a really bad landing through there. That's going to allow Scrappy to move back up into contention, who had a really nice section through there. 126.725, the first benchmark time for this race for Papu at the end of lap 1, who leads the race in front of Massa, Gwen, and Carl Jr. Afi down into P5, P6, Kappa, and Tween in P8. Aurel is still driving, you think, but we cannot spectate him, so I don't know what's currently happening in there. DNF in P10. So yeah, we're gonna have to see how this goes. Tween currently looking to be in the top 8, looking pretty decent for our man at the moment. Scrappy is with him, as well as Pack and Kappa. So yeah, he's in the good half of the field at the moment. Meanwhile, Papu down in P9 tries to catch back up to the top 8 and demote Scrappy down to the bottom 8. Aurel currently in P10, although we cannot spectate him. We cannot see the car of Aurel. So yeah, meanwhile, Matt is down 11.2 seconds down in P8. So, yeah, not looking good for the Space Station Gaming player. Way far down the order before even the start of the dirt part. Yannick's currently in P15, 1.5 seconds down on the top 8 place needed for safety. Scrappy down in P10, battling with Spam, and he has dropped down quite a fair bit as Massa has taken up the lead from... oh no, as I say that, he has made a mistake before the identity, and thus he's down in P14 as Evan slides past him. Carl, Gwen, and Afi, 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Afi with a really nice landing takes the lead, 122.986 for Afi, who takes the fastest lap for now, 5 thousandths in front of Carl Jr., who is 2 tenths behind him in second position, but the Canadian is looking to catch him back up and overtake him for the lead, and he makes it stick for now at least before the platform jump. Afi looking to be strong on this map at the very least, even though he had a bit of a rocky start to the step after map 3 and whatnot, after map 2. So yeah, Gwen making a mistake, and thus he's down in P15. He is forced to respawn, and so yeah, Gwen, one of the strong contenders, one of the strongest favorite rookies of this Grand League season, is out of the running of this map, at least for the moment. Queen promoted up to P6 with everything that happened. Spam is in P9, less than 2 tenths away from the P8 needed for safety. He's gonna have to fend off Riolu, and Bren to make that happen. First dip for the first dip jump right here, second dip jump. It seems that Bren had a bit of a he had a slow landing, and so he's down in the depths of P14. Gwen is in P15. Then P16 we find Matt. Matt seeing potentially the first time driver in his line of sight ever since the start of lap number 2, I think it was. But yeah. Gwen not looking too hot on paper. Carl in the lead in front of Afi, Papu, Kappa, Pack, Tween, Riolu, and Spam, but Pack and Kappa getting overtaken by Tween with such a nice low landing from Tween. He moves up to P4, Afi moving up into the lead. Papu with a 122.530 right now. Go Tween, go Tween, go Tween, go Tween. Afi and Papu first and second, Carl in third, but look who reels him in. It's our man from the Pittsburgh Knights trying to catch back up to the Canadian World Champion. Afi, meanwhile, and Papu are moving up into first and second position and are giving themselves a dogfight for the leading proceedings. Papu touching a bit on the light sand. Is that going to compromise it too much? Not quite, but still, it allows Afi to move through into first position. Carl Jr. still in third, keeping tabs on the lead fight with with Tween just behind him. The train has started to form. Tween potentially overtaking before the dirt part. Yes, he has indeed made it stick. Carl Jr. down to P4. Papu having a really weird entry into the dirt part. He's still in P2. But Tween has managed to reel him in and tearing into the dip now. 222 as we enter the first dip. Second dip. Nice landing for him. Carl Jr. nest landing for him as well. Pack 5th, Spam 6th, Riolu and Kappa in 7th and 8th. Looking pretty good. Aurel in P9 apparently. Evon 10th, Yannick's 11th, Scrappy 12th. Massa down in P13. The points leader is going to be losing his lead and his half of his points surely if he doesn't manage to get back up and running. Meanwhile, Tween is down in P5 as Pack and Carl Jr. are back through. But onto the identity we go, and this is where Tween can make some sick gains. Look at this line from Tween, who managed to score Pack and Carl Jr. before Carl Jr. makes a really nice landing through here. Tween in third place, entering into the penultimate lap. Papu in front of Afi. Tween in P3, 122.723. The fastest man on track was Papu on lap number 4. Heading into the penultimate lap, let's head back to the helicopter to see how the gaps have developed. You can see Matt towards the end of the pack, having been trying to chase down Gwen, who had made a mistake. Massa is pretty far down, Scrappy down as well, so you can see the big gaps that have really developed over the course of the map. Meanwhile, everybody from 1st to 10th is looking pretty close, less than 2 to 3 seconds before 1st and 11th position, so Yannick could still be in it to be in the top 8, even though he's not looking too hot at the moment, and there's going to be quite a bit of pace needed to be found by the Swiss driver from Endovice Esports if he is to get back to the top 8 as soon as he can. Carl Jr. and Pack trying to catch back up to Tween and overtake him for P3 at the moment as we're heading into the dip section. Let's see the landing. He does take the landing. Pack does take the landing, but too slow. Clinching a bit on the end and clipping a bit the end, and he's down in P6 as Spam overtakes him. Carl Jr. up to P3 as Tween gets overtaken by the Canadian and demoted to P4. Meanwhile, Afi and Papu still in a dogfight battle for the lead. They're neck and neck. Look at this. They're within each other's gearboxes as we're heading on to the identity for the penultimate time in this step. Afi with a supreme momentum carry into the first sector, but then forced to release a little bit too much into the second and third transfer. So Papu moves up into first place, entering into the final lap. 122.530, still the fastest lap for Papu at the moment. Tween and P4 still battling it out with Carl Jr. Look at this. Wind back the clock. It would have been 2014 all over again for these guys. 122.761. The fastest man on track on lap 5 was Afi. Papu just behind him and Carl Jr. in third in the timesheets. Carl Jr. who's fighting more than ever to keep that third place away from our man, and Tween fighting even more than Carl Jr. to try and wrestle that third place away from the Canadians' fingers. Meanwhile, Pack is in 5th, Spam 6th, Aurel 7th, and Kappa is into 8th position, battling it out with Devon for the benefit of P8. And yes, indeed, you're right. Massa retaking what was already his in the previous step. No, Tween, what happened? He full stop picked at the final jump. No, he's down in P11. After such a strong showing. Oh no. Oh no, what just happened? So Carl Jr. will definitely get that keepsake for third position. Meanwhile, Papu and Afi, it seems that the battle has died down. Half a second now the gap for Papu in front of Afi. Papu seems to be romping the victory with this one. Massa 122.384, the fastest lap of the race at the moment, looking to get the 2 points for the fastest lap. Or Afi trying to catch back up with the supreme momentum into the identity. Will that be able to pay off? Let's actually see. It's going to be to the line. No, Papu will get first place. Afi 2/10 down in second position. Carl third, Pack 4th, Kappa 5th, Aurel will finish in P6 apparently. Evon 7th, Spam P8, Riolu 9th, Brent 10th, and Tween 11th. After such a strong showing, it all came unraveled. Scrappy 12, Yannick's 13th, Massa 14th, Gwen in P15 won't be able to rally the finish line in time, and unfortunately again for Matt it will be a no score, so yeah, he will be left with just 2 points on the board. Papi and Afu, yeah. Sorry for it. It's the heat of the moment, guys. Heat of the moment. Heat of the moment. Sorry about that. It might be unprofessional, but it's heat of the moment, guys. Really sorry about that. Anyways, Papu taking the lead again. 44 points for him, 40 for Pac. Spam third with 34 points as we're already the 2/3 of the way into the step. We're heading into the break. Before step 3, we're going to have 6 minutes of a break before the 6th step. So, quick score recap. Papu having taken the lead. Merde, le replay. Sorry for the French word. I completely missed the replay. Oh, God. Automate this solution, Adeo, please. This is going to make it so much easier. Anyways, Papu in first place with 44 points, 40 points for Pac in second position, third place for Spam with 34, 30 for Carl Jr. in fourth position, fifth place for Kappa with 24, equal points for Oral in P6, 7th place for Massa with 23, 22 points for Afi in 8th place, 21 points equal for Evon and Gwen in 9th and 10th, Scrappy in 11th place with 16 points, 12 points for Yannick in 12th, 13th place for Bren with 11, 8 points for Tween, our man, in P14, 6 points for Riolu in P15, and P16 for Matt with just 2 lonely points on the board. Let's get on to map 5, which is Hoverboard by Tona, one of the new maps with a pretty particular identity with this final section here that conditions pretty much the rest of it. Look at this. Exit the dirt pretty cleanly here, around 220 km speed, then initiate the drift after the signs, before the pillars, get a good exit speed out of that hairpin, then go really tight on the inside, do not touch the inside wall, and then make sure to have enough clearance 230 to clear the slow-mo jump, avoid the slow-mo block at all costs, get a small drift there, and then aim at an angle, and then make sure to try and stay at the center with the reactor boost. Remember that the reactor boost is actually steering the car without even with in the case of a no steer block happening. So yeah, we're getting underway. Bottom 8 will lose all points. Now is the time to shine for all players as we're heading back to the helicam for the start of the map, and Massa having a slow start already, and he's down in last place from the get-go, 1 second down before we even got past the second checkpoint. So yeah, Massa having a huge choke already, whilst Evon and Riolu have taken towards the lead. Matt a little bit further behind, gets left behind by the pack pretty much instantly here, as Evon is currently at the tail end of the leading group, currently in P14. 1 second between first and last. Aurel having a bit of an issue again. It seems as though he is marked as a DNF, but he is still in the race somehow as the positions are currently evolving. Meanwhile, Gwen, Carl Jr. and Riolu are in 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Tween currently in P11, but he is the right end of the pack at the moment as he tries to catch back up to the top 8 right now. And I guess we're about to head into what I like to call the Samir identity. You will know why when I try to imitate Samir's co-driver. Gwen, Carl, and Papu, 1, 2, 3 at the moment, spamming 4th, pack 5th, Tween in P6, and now comes the co-driver moment. Yeah, viewers on track, I disabled it to actually better see what happened on track with some of the crazy cuts that might happen. Anyways, here we go. Tween, triple caution, stay center, triple caution, jump, triple caution, no! Tween, you're breaking the car. As I say that, he is absolutely stacked the identity. He's behind Riolu. He's down in 15th position, and Carl Jr., the 2020 Winter Champion, is down in last place as well. 9.3 seconds down on top 8, which is needed for safety. As I said, triple caution, stay center. Apparently, the call didn't go through for some of these people, including, unfortunately, our man, and thus he is down in P14, 7 seconds down on the leader. Remember, this is lap 1. Everything can happen in TrackMania, and usually does, but yeah, it is definitely not what you want to see. Meanwhile, towards the top end of the field, as we see that Aurel again having a bit of an issue with the spectating status of the gamingplaypen.com man, and we head back to the helicam. Gwen is in the lead in front of Bren and Pack at the moment. Aurel is currently listed in P4, even though we don't see him. Spamming 5th. Then we see Afi, Scrappy, and Kappa in the top 8. Massa, Yannick, and Evon currently battling it out for that top 9 position. Then we're currently seeing Papu also having made a huge mistake at the end, the tail end there. So there could be some big points being dropped and a new lead change again. Meanwhile, Tween is in P12 at the moment, trying to catch back up to Riolu, although Papu has more speed than him and taking to the airpin, so he will overtake him pretty easily. Oh, what happened to one of the players? It was Afi. Afi. Afi has retired, ladies and gentlemen. 22 points down the drain for the Team BDS driver from Switzerland. So yeah, not looking hot at any point. F1 down in P13 at the moment. So yeah, Afi, that is a surefire DNF and not an issue like Afi, but not like Aurel, but yeah, it isn't really sad to see Afi unfortunately floundering at the worst possible moment. Tween still in P12 up into P11 as Riolu made a mistake and promotes Tween up into P11, battling it out with Papu for P10. Massa is 7 seconds up the road. They're going to need some big mistakes of the top 8 if they have any chance to catch back up to the top 8 fight and try to keep their points on the board. Meanwhile, towards the front, it is Gwen, Bren, and Pack 1, 2, 3 at the moment. Aurel in P4, Scrappy in P5 trying to overtake Aurel at the moment. Scrappa in P6 battling it out with Spam for P6, and Yannick's a little bit further down in P8 under threat from Massa, who's trying to retain those 23 points as hard as he can. He's fighting off and putting pressure on the Swiss right now. Scrappa, yeah, again. Sorry about that. Heading on to the identity for the halfway point of this race. Oh, Pack is down! Bren... Oh, no, Bren made it through. Scrappy made it as well, but real difficulty, it must be said. Pack, thus, is down in P8 still. He's got quite a bit, but that's the mistake that probably Papu and Tween needed to move up into contention for the top 8 spots. Massa's out to P6, so yeah, Massa is definitely up into contention for some decent points on the board. Tween P10, that is not an exercise, and there is a top 8 in sight with Pack after that horrendous mistake on the identity. Papu in P9 is potentially the one that is closest to Pack with around the second of a gap between himself and P8 at the moment. Matt 43 seconds down on P8, so it seems as though all hope has been lost for the Brazilian. He might be completely pointless entering into the final map. Pack still in P8, but he sees growing bigger and bigger. Mirrors Papu. Valerian Ramamonji is going to try to catch him back up. He's now down to half a second between himself and Pack, and Tween is trying to follow as much as he can. Papu as well. Pack is under serious threat of being demoted down into the bottom 8. Papu trying to retain his lead as much as he can, although we could potentially see a lead change. Bren with a 1:15.570, the fastest lap at the moment, onto lap 4 as we're heading back towards the lead. Gwen and Bren first and second. Papu, Aurel third, Spam in P4. Oh, Spam is forced to take the slow way, so that's another one that's gonna lose a lot of positions. Kappa up in 4th, Massa up in 5th, Spam is in P6, but Scrappy scoots by him. Pack is in P8, Spam in P7. It's all kicking off on the penultimate lap, ladies and gentlemen. 1:15.733 for Papu, who was the fastest man on track on lap number 4. He's still half a second away from that vital 8th place, which would absolutely save his day at the moment. Tween all close to touching the wall on the inside of this turn, at the exit of the pole turn, but he manages to keep it together. Meanwhile, look at this. Pack and Spam, P8 and P7 at the moment. So yeah, this could be really spicy for those that will retain those points and those that will drop out of the top 8. Pack is now feeling the pressure. Papu is catching him ever so slightly, slowly but surely. The Frenchman is into contention for P8 at the moment into this map. The dirt section. The dirt. The dirt. I feel like the Swedish chef from the Muppets sometimes when I mispronounce some of these phrases. Anyway, Pack now within Pack now is half a second away from potentially getting demoted into top 8 by Papu. Papu trying to attack as hard as he might to try and get into that top 8 situation and conserve his points. Gwen and Bren. Oh, Bren, that was a sketchy landing. He's full stop picked. He's respawning. That's a less than ideal landing for Bren, who's gonna lose a ton of positions. Scrappy passed him, Spam passed him, Pack passed him, Papu and Tween passed him. Tween is up into P9. Spam has made a huge mistake as well. He might be up into P8. He is. Now, it becomes a resistance game. 1:15.627. Tween is the fastest man on lap 5. Actually, Riolu with a 1:15.492 takes the fastest lap honors. Riolu down in P13 at the moment. But yeah, Tween is going to be in the hot seat. He's trying to keep up with Papu and Pack at the moment in 6th and 7th. Tween in P8, Bren in P9, 3/10 down. Then a further 3/10 down, we find Spam in P10. And they're the only ones that are in contention. Evon is 2.3 seconds down on the top 8 position. Tween under attack from Bren. It's going to be up to Tween to try and resist as much as he can. He's going to have to absolutely nail that identity if he is to retain the top 8 position. He knows that he might be capable of retaining that top 8. Gwen had more speed. Oh, yeah, indeed. Aurel is up into P2, though. Massa up into P3. Meanwhile, we should check back in on Tween at the moment. Bren currently in the chasing position. Papu and Pack battling it out really fiercely for P6 at the moment. Papu taking over the lead from Pack for P6. Gwen has won the race meanwhile. Aurel second, Matsat should be in P3. Kappa P4, Scrappy 5th. Papu should be heading into P6. Tween has saved it. Red has faltered. Tween in the top 8. 10 seconds behind the leader. Spam loses 34 points. Evan loses 21. Riolu loses 6. Brent loses 11. Carl Jr. 13. 30. Yannick's 12. Matt loses 2. And Afi 22. Which makes for some really different standings. And yes, Tween indeed has made it and saved the race on the dot to score the points for 8th place and move up onto 14 points and move up into, let's see, he moved up into the top 8 for this step. Papu, 52 points for him in first place, 47 for Pack in second, and 43, shit! Sorry. 43 for Spam in 43 for who? I got so caught up in the moment of trying to save the replay that I forgot to see the rest of the ranking, and I think that might be a rip replay as well. So, damn it! When you have to do too much stuff on the cast, this is when something goes going wrong. Anyways, we're about to get started with map 6. It seems as though that replay save might have cucked me a fair bit, since yeah, the game is taking quite a bit of time to load at the moment. Oh yeah, there we go. Yeah, it is indeed a rip. It is indeed a rip replay. I'm really sorry, Ryorder. I think I failed you in trying to say that I will save all the replays. But yeah, we're on to the final maps. Map 6 is going to be important to actually finish in the top 8 again in this one. Because remember, all points lost are for map 5 and 6. And yeah, map 6 is indeed Starglide by Link. Characterized by an identity consisting of U-turns in reactor boost in the air, preceded each by a ice slide. So yeah, it is going to be very interesting to see. Now the first point of interest here is this dirt section right here. Make sure to nibble a little bit on the ice on this end right here. Line up your car for the uphill section and level it out to get as much ground contact as possible. Then you need around 310 kilometers to clear that jump right here before CP5. Then on this jump before after CP6, make sure to get a straight line as possible, but don't get bonk onto the wood like Masa did. Then onto this U-turn, which has onto this grass turn. Keep a low line into the CP, then snap the car towards the right into the freewheel, drift a little bit. Around 130 to 135 is the ideal speed, then the identity. So first, then chuck the car in for the ice slide above a 180-degree angle, and then use the throttle to actually reorient the car and set it up for the checkpoint cars. It's pretty easy to understand, but pretty easy to mess up as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how the players fare in this second identity here. You really hope Masa will save his points. Yeah, well, we're all hoping that everyone, all our favorite players will save their points. But yeah, it's going to be up to the judge to decide, and the judge being the map. Anyways, 6th and final map of the step. Here we go, boys. Back to the helicam we go for the 6th and final time for the start of this map. Scrappy and Matt in first and second. Tween currently at the tail end of the field. Afi taking a bit to the wide line there, making much more speed through there as we're getting ourselves into the dirt. Oh, Yannick's with the full slow pick, and it's a DNF! No, it's a respawn from Yannick, sorry, I thought it was a DNF. Aurel is down in P16, so yeah, it seems as though we might have a really, truly, rip for Aurel at the very moment. So yeah, it is going to be interesting to see how the GamingPreview.com driver fares. Spam and Scrappy in first and second, Papu third. Meanwhile, Tween is in P11, right amongst the group of the of players at the moment, currently leading this field. Oh, round has been skipped, and seems as though we might have had an issue for one of the players. We're just going to have to wait on the official Discord. Yeah, it seems like we do have a technical issue on one of the players. If I can actually head back to the helicam to see if there are any issues for one man. Yeah, there are a few drivers that have standing ghosts at the moment. Yeah, I'm predicting also that it is due to Aurel having a bunch of issues at the moment. And the match has been resumed, so we're going to be restarting the map at the moment. And we get a second shot at the helicam start. Here we go. Tween getting into last place after CP1, but still remaining within the right group. Afi again going for the white line here, as we saw in the very first aborted start that we had as we're entering into CP3 with the dirt part coming in. Here we go. Then orient your car towards the right side. Perfect diagonal trajectory for pretty much everyone. Yannick's getting left behind already as Scrappy has taken the lead from Spam and Bren in second and third right now. Yeah, Annex was pretty lucky and winner of this situation as well with that full stopping that he had on the very first start, as Scrappy, Spam and Pack are your leading trio at the moment. Tween currently in P13 at the tail end of the group, trying to see if there's anything cropping up for him to get some GC points and potentially the top 8 in the bag on this map as we're heading into the identity for the first time right here with our man. See, he sets the car up, chucks it in for the turn, then onto the throttle he goes. Second turn. Then onto the third turn. It's really important to set your car up really nicely well. It's easy to actually go a bit too shallow or too deep and hit either the rings or go off the track. But yeah, so far Tween has managed to cross it, and after the first lap it is going to be Gwen who will be your leader at the end of lap 1 with a 119.436, the benchmark for the fastest lap at the moment. Tween down in P14 at the moment. Half a second down on the top 8 place needed for safety, currently courtesy of Afi, although he's in a fight between himself, Evan, Bren, and Spam for top 8. Yannick's also in there, but Yannick has dropped quite a bit of placing and quite a bit of pace, and he's down in P13. Tween up to P12 with group Bren, Spam, Evan, and Afi just up the road. So there is a top 8 on the cards. Carl Jr. has made a mistake, and he's down in P10 at the moment. Tween in P12, Bren in P11, Evan up into P8, Afi in P7. So yeah, looking pretty good so far for the Team BDS driver. As we head back to the helicam, we see that Riolu has made a huge mistake already, and he's down 6 seconds to the P8 needed for safety. So yeah, Aurel is currently down in P14. 38 points are on the line for the Frenchman. It's going to be really important for him. 25 points are on the line for Scrappy, who's currently in the battle for the top 8 position. Right now, the Belgian is sitting in P9, not exactly where he needs to be, although he is in the right group, so he will be able to actually catch back up to some of those people in no time. Meanwhile, Tween, it seems as though the third crossing of the identity would be the second crossing will be a good one. Afi's made the first mistake, and he's down in P9 and gets overtaken by Tween. So yeah, it is going to be rip for Afi at the moment. Meanwhile, Tween gets promoted up to P11. Afi down in P13. And even P14 as Aurel passes him. 115.767 for Massa, who has taken the reins of the race in front of Gwen. Fastest lap of the race for Mr. 305. Kuprameister Massa currently leading the charts by 3/10 from Gwen, and then 1/10 behind we find 2016 World Champion Pack from M&M Gaming chasing down the young Frenchman. Then Carl Jr. in P4 at the moment, P5 for Papu, P6 for Evan. 7th and 8th currently rounding out the top 8 are Kappa and Spam in that order. Scrappy 9th, Yannick's 10th. Yannick's under pressure from Tween at the moment in P11. Yannick's getting overtaken by Tween. Tween up to P10. Next up is Scrappy for P9 and Spam for P8. Look at this. He's still really close for that to that top 8 place, that butter zone top 8 that he needs to keep this points. It would be nice to get a double-digit score on the board for our man and for ourselves. Yannick's still playing the pressure on Tween, coming back at him before the identity coming in. As we're getting onto the identity, Scrappy, pretty nicely done. Slow landing from Tween here on this first crossing on the identity. Second crossing, nicely done. He is going for the safe route for Tween. It's going to be paying off eventually, since I'm expecting some huge stoppings and some huge bonks and some huge Fs at the identity or other parts of the track. So he's down in P11 at the moment, but could still be set to get back into running order. 115.170, the fastest lap for Gwen, who has retaken the lead from Massa. He's now 3/10 up on the German. Then half a second down on them, we find Pack from M&M Gaming. Those two, Massa and Pack, have been teammates in the past. They have been teammates in the legendary Dignitas team for one time, and then in Team Expert. Dignitas Massa, was that a thing? I don't really remember, but yeah, I'm assuming, I think it was in Dignitas, and then moved on to Team Expert, which have romped into victory quite a few years back. But currently he's finding himself in a one-on-one situation with Pack. Pack currently the worst for wear. He is currently finding himself 6/10 down on Massa at the moment, who is in a prime position to try and take over the lead from Gwen. He finds himself only a quarter of a second. Yes, he was digging us. Okay, thank you, Veriksen, for the clarification. Meanwhile, Tween, Yannick's and Scrappy battling it out for P9, and up the road, Kappa and Spam are in P8. So yeah, with Spam as well. Yeah, I meant to say Spam as well. Oh, Scrappy managed to get a good identity through there. Tween, not so good. Oh, he manages to clear it, but he's gonna be a lot further than he would have liked to be. But Spam has dropped quite a bit of momentum to Kappa as well, so he will be potentially under threat. Meanwhile, Scrappy and Yannick's battling it out with each other for P9. Scrappy with less speed gets overtaken by Yannick. Tween potentially getting a slice of the pie right here. 115.701 on lap 4 for Massa, who has retaken the lead from Gwen at the moment, looking pretty sharp. Spam, go tweet in chat if you want to support him. He knows that you can actually see, he knows that you're supporting him, he can see it. Go tweet in chat. Gwen second, Pack in third, Papu in P4, 1 second down on the leader. Carl Jr. at 4/10 down on the leader at the moment. Then we see Evon in 6th, Kappa and Spam in 7th and 8th. Yannick's in P9, Scrappy in P9 right now. Yannick's 10th and Tween still in the battle for that 5th position, for that 8th position. We're on lap 5 already, so it's gonna have to, the moves are gonna have to come in pretty quick for our man if he is to keep his points. Kappa and Spam, meanwhile, up the road. You can see the two name tags at the top here, battling it out for P7 at the moment as we're heading onto the identity again for the 5th time with Tween at the moment. Tween for a shallow angle, looking good. Yannick's had less speed. Meanwhile, no, Tween. Oh, that's looking pretty dangerous. He's going to drop a lot of momentum. Is that going to be the ceiling, the fate of Tween's chances for a top 8? It could very well be. We're entering into the final lap of the race, and Tween right now is not looking good to actually get himself into the top 8. He's 1.1 second down on the top 8 needed for safety, which is currently held by Spam at the moment. That's why we're going to be heading back into the helicam for a quick moment here. As you can see that we're having Brennan Mass here. We see that Riolu is going to be crossing the finish line now. There we go. Riolu's crossed the finish line. Massa and Pac are battling it out with each other. Gwen dropped down to 3rd position, so it's going to be really interesting to see. Afi, actually, what happened to Papu? Papu's made a mistake! Papu, 52 points, the leader. He's down in the top 2. He's down in the bottom 8. Tween is up into P10. He's 8/10, 6/10 away. Scrappy's up into P8. If he's able to actually get on the dot in front of both Yannick and Scrappy, he could still keep his points. Nothing is forever certain in TrackMania. It ain't over until it's over. Pac is taking the lead from Massa. Meanwhile, heading into the identity, the battle for the lead is as tense as the battle for the top 8 at the moment. Papu has indeed ripped. It's Massa taking the lead at the first crossing. Second crossing on the identity. Pac trying to come back at him. Is this going to be the step for Massa to take the lead? It's going to be... No! He has a bad landing. Pac takes the win. He's going to win this 6th map and take the win from the step with Papu. He's in P9. What happened to Tween? No! Tween has lost his points. Massa 2nd. Gwen 3rd. Carl 4th. Evon 5th. Spam 6th. Yannick 7th, Kappa in 8th, Papu loses all his points, Alfie in P10, Bren 11th, Matt 12th, Aurel 13th, Scrappy 14th, Tween in 15th place, and Riolu in P16. It all looks so promising. It was there for the taking, but unfortunately for that, it has all unraveled. But yeah, this concludes step 2 of the TrackMania Grand League Fall 2020 season, and here is your step ranking. Pac wins step 2 with 67 points to his credit. Gwen finishes in 2nd place with 57. Massa 3rd with 49. 40 points for Kappa in 4th position. 5th place for Evon in 14th with 14 points. 13 points equal for Carl and Spam in 6th and 7th. And 8th place for Yannick's top 8 for a rookie, for the 2nd rookie here with 10 points. 9th place for Papa with 5, equal with Afi on 10th position with 5 points. 4 points for both Brennan, Matt in 11th and 12th. 13 and 14 for Scrappy and Norel with 3 points each. 2 points only for Tween again in P15 and 1 solitary point for Riolu in P16. As of step 2, here is the league ranking. Papu retains the lead with 97 points after that superb step 1. He is now 23 points ahead of Pac, who moves up to P2 in the standings with 74 points. Spam down to 3rd place with 70 points. Gwen up into P4 with 68 points. Kappa 5th in the standings with 62 points. 53 points for Massa in 6th place. 7th place for Scrappy with 44, and completing the top 8 is Carl Jr. with 26 points. Afi is in 9th place with 24 points. 23 points for Evon in the top 10. Yannick's 11th place with 14 points. Matt and Bren equal on 7 points. Matt 12th, Bren 13th. 14th place for Riolu with 6 points. Only 4 points for Tween in P15 and 16th. And last place for Aurel with only 3 points to his credit. So yeah.